We don't like to talk about this, but women are attracted to men for 3 reasons. The first is to signal resources. And you don't have to show up with a Range Rover or a Panerai. You can just be someone who has shit together. It's like, this guy's going to be a good provider. The second is humor. We talked about this in the last one, or intellect. And then the third, and this is, I think, is the most under-leveraged secret weapon in mating for a man, is kindness. And that is, women instinctively believe at some point they'll be vulnerable because of gestation, or they're physically smaller. So they're very drawn to men who demonstrate kindness, and that is acts of generosity with no reciprocal expectation. So, and that's the most men understand 1 and 2, but what they don't understand is they need a kindness practice, because I do think you can learn kindness. It starts with manners, but if you try to, small acts of generosity every day, I do think it starts to become second nature. But I wanted to take care of my mom, and quite frankly, I wanted more dates. And that was both those things were very motivating for me to try and be a better man. And then what you talked about, having kids.
How old were you when you had kids?
I started late. I was 42.
Yeah, me too.
You're
42.
Oh, you're 42.
Just had kids.
Yeah, you at 42 is a different look than me at 42. Anyways, but when my kid came marching, or had the poor judgment to come marching out of my girlfriend, it was 2008, and I had lost everything.
Oh, right at the housing crisis, yeah.
I had always gone all in. I kind of came a professional agent in San Francisco, where you're supposed to go all in, borrow money against your stocks. And you were kind of taught, if you're really talented, you're in it to win it, and you can, I'm so awesome that if I throw myself at something 100%, it's going to win. Not recognizing, again, the power of diversity. So I've been wealthy 3 times, which means I've lost it twice. And I lost it in 2000. Then I crawled my way back, had a kid, and literally at that moment lost everything because I was too stupid to diversify. You've written a book on money. I hadn't learned the power of diversification. And when my kid entered the world, it wasn't bright lights and angels singing. I literally felt anxiety and shame. I'm like, not only have I screwed up for me, but now I've screwed up for someone who is totally dependent upon me. And granted, I struggle with depression, so I have a tendency to see dark things as black. But I remember I was so nauseous and so anxious that I had to sit down. They were more worried about me, I think, than the mother of the kid at that point. And I couldn't say, I feel failure. I feel like I've already let this thing down, So for me, that was very motivating. I think having kids is stressful. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it definitely has made me a better man, because I want to model good behavior. I take being a provider and a protector much more seriously now. And so I do think, this kind of the 3 legs of the masculinity stool: provider, protector, procreator. I do think those are decent legs of the stool, and the skills and strengths and attributes you want to develop to be all 3 of those things are, loosely speaking, what I believe it means to be, quite frankly, masculine. But the book is really more about where I screwed up and what I learned from it, and tried to evolve around it. But yeah, my first encounter, I know you just had twins. You're doing much better than I was at that moment. But I felt a ton of stress and anxiety, but it also was very productive for me. And one of the things I worry about with my kids is that I didn't grow up with a lot, at least not economically. And I always say, if I had what my kids have, I wouldn't have what I have. And a lot of what I think about is, how do you instill that sense of grit? And a little bit of fear is probably good in kids. Because the things that really motivated me, if I had what my kids have, the only things I know I would have engaged in is like a Range Rover and a cocaine habit. I'm a fundamentally lazy person. When I was younger, I didn't want to save the world. I wasn't kind. I wasn't trying to add value. I wanted economic security, because an absence of it had caused so much anxiety in my life. And, I think that if you grow up with money, did you grow up with money?
No.
If people have money, I think they can sympathize with people who don't. But I don't really think they can fully empathize, because it's as if, like, my mom and I had this ghost following us around saying, you're not worthy. Like, you screwed up. You and your mom screwed up. When I didn't get into UCLA down the road, they had a 74% admissions rate, and I was one of the 26% that didn't get in. I remember I went to my friends' parents, and they knew I hadn't gotten in. They're like, you should get on a plane tomorrow and go to Michigan and show up at the admissions office, and you're so smart. And I'm like listening. I'm like, go to Michigan. I don't have a credit card. I don't. I've been on a plane like twice. We don't have that kind of money. I can't afford to spend $200 or $300 to go and show. There's just a lack of confidence, a lack of contacts, a lack of, quite frankly, of sophistication that people with money can't even relate to.
Yeah.
And the anxiety. I remember like this, I don't call it trauma. People have worse trauma. I'm one of those people that's always 5 minutes away from losing your keys. I lose everything. And my ex-wife used to say if my dick wasn't attached, we'd find it on a card table in Soho next to a Goodfellas script and a Nirvana album. And I lost 2 jackets in 1 week. And jackets were $30 for some reason. It was like a Monopoly or a cartel in jackets. And I remember just the fear and anxiety. I purposely spent the night at my friend's 2 nights in a row because I just couldn't face telling my mom I'd lost another jacket, you know, because I knew she was going to melt down. My mom was in a very vulnerable place and she would just lose her shit. And that was very distressing. So I've been so focused, and some of the critiques of the book is that, and it's actually an accurate critique, it's that I'm too focused on money. And then I think money will solve a man's problems. And that's actually a really accurate critique, but that comes from a place of not having it. And things just got so much easier and better for me once I had economic security.
Well, I think it's part of it for sure, like you said, but also if you're not kind and you have money, you're going to just ruin people's lives if you're just like mean. Okay, I have all the money, I have resources, I'm funny and I'm intelligent, but I'm mean. That is a disaster for any person coming into a relationship with them, whether it be a business partner or a team member if they're running a business, or
the president
or
I say that, I don't know the political leanings of you or your audience, but I find that some of the role models for masculinity that we should naturally look up to, the wealthiest man in the world, he's won capitalism, and the president. And I don't think they're very strong role models for young men. I think they've conflated masculinity with coarseness and cruelty. You know, being sued concurrently by 2 women for sole custody of your child because you haven't seen that child. That couldn't be any less masculine. Cutting off aid to HIV positive mothers. I just can't think of anything less masculine than that. It's like these guys have recognized tremendous prosperity. That's really impressive. But the whole point of prosperity is you can move to protection. That's the whole shooting match, right? What's the point of prosperity if you can't get off your heels and onto your toes and protect others after you've protected yourself? And I think some of the most powerful men in the United States have just missed that whole part of their journey towards manhood. I think it's really disappointing. Even if you look back at the Gilded Age, some of these men who were just rapacious, kind of once they got there, they did feel a real obligation, a civic obligation. And that's where I think some of the individuals in big tech and in our government right now, I feel as if they've kind of skipped that whole protection part of the masculinity stool, if you will.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.